So this is the annual ABCC auspicious ceremony。呢個係每一年嘅大吉祥法會呵。咁我哋咧讀法華經，當然係講法華經啦。過去2年都係講法華經 ，because we are reading the Lotus Sutra, of course。入唔入嚟啊？哦 ，OK。Because you are reading, or you can sit over there. If you want to come over, sit there. Because we are reading the Lotus Sutra, so the Dharma discourse is about Lotus Sutra. So I started last year talking about the 7 parables of the Lotus Sutra, which is actually a very famous, a very common topic that people talk about with the Lotus Sutra. So last year we talked about 2 parables, so there are 5 parables left to be completed this year. 咁因為我哋大家讀妙法蓮華經啊，咁所以咧名正言順嘅話咧，我哋就開始就係講妙法蓮華經嘅開始。咁呢個今年係第3年，我舊年就開始講法華7喻，即係法華經入邊有7個比喻，有7個比喻，我舊年講咗2個比喻，咁今年咧就有5個比喻，要今年講晒佢。咁大家如果有聽妙法蓮華經嘅話，前2年你哋都有跟turn the slide please。如果你哋前2年有聽，或者有聽翻前2年嘅妙法蓮華經，大家都記得法華經係經中之王。經中之王點解叫經中之王呢？因為法華經係讓我哋知道係如何成佛嘅。So in the last 2 years, if you have actually listened to the Dharma discourse about the 妙法蓮華經, you will remember the 妙法蓮華經 is actually, they call it the king of all the sutras. Why is it so? Because it is talking about the path to Buddhahood. And so this, and the lotus flower is an analogy. The lotus flower is an analogy to actually compare how wonderful, how auspicious, how pure the Dharma is. And that is actually an analogy using the lotus flower. 咁點解會用蓮花？因為蓮花係出於污泥而不染啊，咁所以咧佢係用蓮花係比喻呢個無上甚深嘅佛法，而呢個無上甚深嘅佛法係尤其是《法華經》入邊講嘅係成佛之道，咁所以咧佢係用呢個蓮花去做一個比喻啊。OK， so in the Chinese tradition, that actually this is what we use. Kaumolo Kumara, Venerable Kumara, he translated this. So in the Chinese is easy. We can get that a proper book very easily. But in the English, the best translation I can get for now is this Lotus Sutra book. So you can order it online if you are actually not very fluent with Chinese and you are just making by. I strongly recommend you to get this book, Lotus Sutra. You can get a physical book or you can get actually an e-copy through the web. This is the best so far. Of course, there inside there are some translations which I would maybe go on. I would tell you what I prefer to be translated as. OK， 咁我哋法華經大家都知係求摩羅什翻譯嘅，咁喺中文版咧就好容易揾得到啊。咁但係如果大家嘅中文 半桶水嘅話，你真係想睇下英文嘅，因為英文好簡單，佢英文個講法咧好簡單。如果有啲中文你唔明白嘅話，你睇翻英文咧，你就好快就明白。咁咧我覺得我揀到最好嗰本咧都係呢個Dr. Reeves 啊，Dr. Jean Reeves 係譯嘅，咁你可以上網買，上網請，咁亦都可以去做一個 e-copy。我極力推薦你上網請嘅，唔好成日用 e-book 去睇。Okay, so when we read the Chinese, we notice that there are actually a lot of the long sentences, a lot of the long content paragraphs, and then followed by the gattas. Okay, but actually the long passages are added in later on. The gattas were the original, and because in the old days, how the Buddha actually, or how people actually talk in the old days, they talk like they were talking like they were poets. Gattas are like poems. So a lot of the passages actually are added later on by many renowned teachers. 咁大家睇《法華經》，你會睇到佢有長文嘅，佢長文啊，或者行文啊，叫做一行二行個行文，或者叫長文。咁實在長文咧係後來加上去嘅，個原文實在係全部係個偈頌。咁所以你會睇到點解個偈頌會即係講完個長文之後又會用偈頌嘅咧？咁實在個偈頌就係係佛喺靈鷲山度講嘅偈頌，而嗰個長文咧就係後來再加入去嘅。咁所以我喺選擇講《法華經》嘅時候，我好多時都係選擇個偈頌，但係有時我都會選擇個長文，因為長文有時係容易明白個偈頌嘅。咁所以兩樣嘅，但係大部分我會選擇個偈頌。So when I talk about the Lotus Sutra, I would normally I would prefer to use the gatha. But sometimes the meaning of the gatha is actually very difficult to understand sometimes, because one word could mean a lot of things, a very deep meaning. So I may use some of the passages also, but mostly I would choose the gatha. Okay, so the famous 7 parables of the Lotus Sutra, they are actually metaphors, or we call them similes. And they are actually parables to actually show us the way on reaching Buddhahood. And you can see how compassionate Buddha was, because he knew us sentient beings being so ignorant and so dumb, and a lot of times he needed to make it very simple. He needed to make it like a story, and to attract us to actually pay more attention to it. So that's why there comes the famous 7 parables. But actually, in the Lotus Sutra, there are actually more than 7 parables. But these 7 parables are very commonly being talked about, and these 7 parables are very crucial also. 咁喺《法華經》入邊有法華七語，呢法華七語咧就係實在係好出名嘅法華七語。實在喺《法華經》入邊咧係唔只有7個故事嘅，唔只有7個譬喻嘅。咁但係咧點解會有呢7個譬喻？就係因為呢7個譬喻咧就係佛陀好慈悲，佢知道我哋眾生咧好愚蠢，好蒙蔽，所以咧佢用古仔咧去點樣啊？去帶領我哋，佢容易啲明白，容易啲去接受。咁所以咧喺我就舊年就選擇用講法華七語。咁大家如果有舊年有聽過嘅咧，都可能曾經我都有睇過。我哋喺日常生活中有時會聽到啲詞語啊，或者我哋聽到啲經文啊，或者啲偈頌啊，都係由法華經度出嚟嘅。 譬如有一句好出名嘅，而家由舊年開始，而家到而家啲人都成日都話三界如火宅啊，呢個好出名啦。仲有咧就係我哋做完法會，我哋回向嘅話，願以此功德普及於一切我等與眾生，皆共成佛道，都係喺《法華經》度出嚟嘅。OK， 咁仲有咧就係太虛大師作詞嘅三寶歌亦都係入邊有講嘅咩啊？三界火宅亦都係從呢個《法華經》度出嚟。So if you recall last year, I think I talked about this. Actually, a lot of the common languages that we use as in teaching, or people as the Buddhists they use, or even mundane people they use. Actually, a lot of them actually come from the Lotus Sutra, like what do you call the burning house. Like from last year until this year, this whole world is like a burning house, isn't it? And then also, the Sambogo, the Triple Gem song. Remember, actually in there it mentioned about the three worlds are like this burning house. And so you can see, and also at the end of each chanting or each ceremony, there is a dedication of merits, right? And that is also come from Fa Fa Ging, okay, come from the Lotus Sutra. And I'm sure the English speaking people are actually very used to me saying Fa Fa Ging. You already know what I'm talking about, right? Fa Fa Ging, right? So I don't need to say Lotus Sutra because it's so easy to say Fa Fa Ging. Okay, so last year we looked at the 7 parables, 2 of the 7 parables, and those are the 2. So we talk about this, the parable of the burning house. 舊年我哋講咗兩個譬喻，第一個譬喻就係火宅喻呵，第二個譬喻就係窮子喻，就係嗰個講嗰個。頭先我啱啱讀咗嗰個咧請佢去不瞓嗰個嚇。So, and the second parable we talked about last year was the parable of the poor son, which we just read, about his father actually employing him to go and clean out the dung. All right? 咁我哋今年咧就仲有5個喻 ，so we have 5 more. So the next one is 藥草喻, the parable of the medicinal plants. So I have added some translation to this chapter. Okay, medicinal plants, not just plants. And then 化成喻, and also I have corrected this, the parable of the fantasized, not fantasy, fantasized castle city. It's not fantastic. I think that is actually completely wrong translation in the English. It's not fantastic. Actually, it's a fantasized. It's a castle city that was being conjured up because of the circumstances, and it's actually a fantasize. Is just it really not a real castle city. Okay, so in the Chinese it's that 化成即係變出嚟嘅 right? So in the English it's that fantastic. It's really not fantastic. It's something that is being created, and it's like illusion. It's a delusion. Okay, so that's why it's called a fantasized castle city. 咁第8個係依諸第5個係依諸喻，係第8卷嚇，第8卷係依諸喻，我第8品。The 8th one, the 5th one is chapter 8 is the parable of the assurance for the 500 disciples. And assurance, I have doubt about this. I wanted to try to find a word to actually replace this. Actually, it's called 受記品is really not assurance. It's actually foretelling or endorsement. It's really not assurance. I really, up till now, I still cannot find a proper word to replace that word. but I'm sure I will come up later on when I talk about that tomorrow night. 咁咧就譬諸喻啦嚇 ，The Parable of the Safe and Easy Practices。第14品 is the chapter 14 and 第14品，仲有第七個譬喻就係依止喻，就係第16品。咁呢啲 number 係跟個品數嘅嚇，唔係跟1、2、3、4、6、7啊，係跟個品數啊。So the chapter 16 is the lifetime of the Tathagata as a physician. So that is the total of the 7 parables. And tonight we are going to talk about 藥草喻。我哋今晚咧就講藥草喻。This afternoon we're going to talk about the parable of the medicinal plants. Okay. So in chapter 2, the skillful means is actually the teaching given to those with very sharp faculties, who understand and took in the teachings right away. And chapter 3, a parable, and chapter 4, the faith and the understanding, are meant for those with intermediate sharpness. And for them, they have to, they understand it, they take a little time to understand it. Then for chapter 5, this parable, the parable of the medicinal plants, the Buddha would like to use a parable further to explain and expound the teachings in a very subtle, in a very simple way, so that some of the people with not such a sharp faculties could still understand what he was talking about. 咁呢個藥草喻咧就係我哋講第二卷啦，嗬，第二卷咧就講方便品啦。方便品啦，同埋方便品咧就係講俾一啲咩聽咧？講俾嗰啲上根上氣嘅人聽，利根利氣嘅人聽。咁第3品咧就係譬喻品啦，譬喻品同埋第4品咧就係信解品啦。咁呢2品咧就係講嗰個方便品咧，講俾利根利氣嘅，即刻佢哋一講就明㗎啦，佛陀一講佢明。咁第三品同第4品咧係講俾嗰啲中根中氣嘅人聽，佢哋都要少少時間去思維或者去領悟佛陀講嘅法。咁而家去到第5品咧，叫藥草喻咧，就係佛陀咧就係用呢個譬喻，呢個譬喻係點解咧？呢個譬喻好簡單嘅啫，就係希望我哋嗰啲冇咁利根嘅人咧能夠明白啲。咁但係喺呢個藥草喻入邊咧，實在都你可以講咧，就係佢不單止淨係俾我哋啲冇咁利根佢亦都有講過係利根嘅又係點樣嘅咧？咁冇咁利根嘅又係點樣嘅咧？咁實在無論個根氣有幾利啦，佛陀都講嘅就係我哋每個人都可以成佛嘅。呢個就係第5品呢個藥草喻嘅最終嘅宗旨。So in this here, even though in the parable of the medicinal plants, it's talk about the few plants, the few medicinal herbs, and the few trees, and of course there are sharp faculties, there are intermediate, there are low faculties. It will talk about that in this parable also, but the main theme about this parable is no matter whether you're big or small, you will still have a chance to attain Buddhahood. That's the main theme of this parable. And actually I think it's the main theme of all the sutras that actually the Buddha has taught, and especially the Lotus Sutra. OK， 咁我哋開始睇嗰個經文啦，咁咧開始睇嘅就話，先講嘅就係呢本經。佛陀喺第五品呢度咧，佢就講，佢就話呢個係點啊？諸法之王，我係諸法之王。 一開始佢就講呢個啦。如果你喺睇長文嘅話咧，就係第一段啫。喺佢話迦葉啊，佢話當知如來是諸法之王啊。佢話當知如來是諸法之王，若有所說，皆不虛也。於一切法以智方便而演說之，其所說法皆悉導於一切智地。喺呢段好短嘅經文入邊講啊，實在佢就同迦葉尊者係當機眾喺呢段經文入邊。迦葉尊者係當機眾，但係大家都知道迦葉尊者實在係利根利氣嘅人嚟。咁但係點解佛陀會對住迦葉尊者講？即係話而家係對住利根利氣講啫，一陣就對住啲冇咁中根中氣講啦。OK， 咁佢話我係諸法之王，所有嘅法啊 phenomena 嚇，所有嘅嘢一切我都係點啊？我係最高最上嘅。但係我講嘅嘢冇一句係假嘅，皆不虛也，冇一句係假嘅。佛陀啊，所有講嘅嘢都係正知正見，而冇一句虛假。佢係於一切法啊，以智方便而演說之。所有呢度入邊一切嘅法，或者我要講嘅嘢係做乜嘢？我係點啊？我係希望用一個方便嘅法門一個方便嘅法門去點樣啊？去話俾大家知道。用有智慧嘅方便法門。咩叫有智慧嘅方便法門啊？即係好似你想啲細路仔，我記得我睇咗一個紀錄片關於嗰陣時小兒麻痹症喺中國殺即係好多細路仔都係因為小兒麻痹症死，而中國嗰陣時亦都冇疫苗咁其中有一個醫生咧，就係佢係點樣佢終於發明到嗰隻揾到嗰隻疫苗，做到嗰隻疫苗出嚟俾中國好多細路仔食。但係因為嗰隻疫苗咧，嗰粒藥咧好苦啊，好苦啊！呢個醫生就話點樣可以引到啲細路仔食呢粒藥咧？就做咗糖衣啦。咁就所以呢個就係方便法。就係因為你個糖衣呢個細路仔咪肯吞粒藥啦，咁佢咪肯食咯。OK，so 所以佢話以智方便而演說之，其所說法皆悉導於一切智地啊。佢話我因為用一個方便嘅法門去表達我呢個無上甚深嘅法，因為咁樣我可以點樣啊？帶領一切嘅眾生去到一切智嘅地方，一切智即係佛智一切智。咁大家如果你有少少佛學嘅基礎嘅話，你就知道有3種嘅智慧一切智有道種智，有一切種智。咁一切智咧就係基本嘅基本嘅。好啦，道種智咧就係再高一級啲啦。咁咧，然後咧就係一切種智咧，就係點啊？佛智嚟啦。咁佢話，所以佢話我一切種智可以令眾生去到一切智。一切智即係至少咧係點樣啊？係聲聞緣覺。係聲聞緣覺之後點啊？去到聲聞緣覺，你先至有機會再去發大誠心去修菩薩地。去到菩薩地嘅時候，你就可以再去修佛地嘅佛智慧。咁所以佢話諸法之王，佢話所以你唔好話乜嘢。雖然係糖衣但係點樣都係一個可以令你能夠了生脫死嘅嘢。好啦，this is the Buddha proclaim. He said, I am the king of the Dharma, Kashyapa or Kassapa. The Tathagata is the king of Dharma. Nothing he teaches is empty. Nothing he teaches is empty, or you can say it or false or whatever. Okay, and he preaches all the teachings through wise use of skillful means. So what does he mean by skillful means? So the burnt house is skillful means. The attainment of the Sravaka, the attainment of Pratyeka Buddha is skillful means. Okay, so using the skillful means to attract sentient beings so that they will what? They will vow to go further. When you think about skillful means, there was a story that actually I read about in China in the old days. They were trying to combat polio. And at that time, they did not have any vaccine, nothing. Nothing could be provided to the Chinese people. And there were a group of doctors, and they were trying to actually invent it themselves, and they did eventually. And the doctors were using their own children to test test that medicine. And it was successful, and by that medicine, they were actually able to eradicate a lot of polios in the old days. But the medicine was too bitter, and a lot of children refused to take it. So the doctor was thinking, actually it wasn't the doctor was thinking, it was, I think, one of the prime minister actually went to visit that site and asked him, so many children refused to take it because it was so bitter. How can you make the medicine taste better? Yes, sugar. So he sugar-coated it. So the children started to take the sugar-coated polio medicine, and that was able to eradicate all the polios in China in the old days. It's exactly like the Buddha. He was using a lot of skillful means to attract us, to show us how we can actually go forth to attain the Buddhahood. So he said what he teaches actually lead us to a state of comprehensive wisdom. Comprehensive wisdom means the wisdom of the Buddha. Of course, there's the wisdom of arahants, there's the wisdom of Shravaka, there's the wisdom of arahants, there's the wisdom of Bodhisattva, and each state, the wisdom is different. It goes deeper and deeper. Okay, so that's comprehensive wisdom, means the wisdom of the Buddha. Okay, so and then here it says, the Buddha has this wisdom, he teach according to the capacity of beings, 隨眾生欲。隨眾生欲而為說法啊，第140頁，你哋嗰個同我唔同啦嗬，係偈頌嚟嘅。係一個偈頌嚟，佢話破有法王出現世間，隨眾生欲種種說法啊。佢話and then he actually teach according to the capacity of beings. In page 160 in the English book, it says, the Dharma King, breaker of ideas of beings. That means he is very flexible. Appears in this world in according with desires of living beings. He teaches the Dharma in a variety of ways. So he's very flexible. He knows which being has what kind of desire. Maybe this being has only the desire of staying as a human being. So he teaches the Dharma for human being, for those people who want to be reborn as a human being. Or he teaches, or some people may want to be a bodhisattva, so he would teach those beings the bodhisattva path. That was what it meant by this paragraph. So according to the capacity of beings, according to the desires of the beings. Okay? 所以呢個法王啊，即係佛陀啊。喺呢個世間出現啊，係點樣啊？隨眾生欲種種說法，隨住我哋眾生嘅希望，我哋想乜嘢？譬如我只係想，哎呀唔好搞啦！我呢世做人，我來世都係做人啦，咁佢咪教你人天福報咯，修十善咯，持五戒修十善，咁你咪來世再做人咯。咁你話唔係喎，我想得初果㗎，我想或者我證阿羅漢果，咁佢咪教你阿羅漢果嘅道啊？咁啊你話唔係喎，我想成佛㗎喎，咁咪教你菩薩道，菩薩道然後再點樣啊？佛道係法華經講佛道啦。咁所以係佛陀係點樣啊？係好圓融啊，個人好圓融，佢知道眾生。佢哋究竟想乜，而佢哋究竟有幾多能力去做，咁佢就會教嗰種人。 佢話聞或者疑，佢話有智若聞則能信解，無智而悔則為永失啊！佢話點樣啊？佢話我哋聽聞佛法嘅人啊，即係我哋呢啲眾生啊，有智若聞則能信解。如果我哋本身聽到嘅時候，我哋會點樣啊？會消化有智，然後生到有種智慧，然後我哋就會啊，我會去解，我會明白，我會明白之後然後點啊？解即係包括係明白，然後我就相信啦，佛陀講係啱嘅。譬如好似講《法華經》啦，我哋睇到啦，火宅啦，我哋知道我哋嗰種妄想，我哋知道嗰種執着，我哋嗰種貪慾。就等於我哋困咗我自己喺間屋入邊，嗰間屋係着火嘅。咁我哋知道，如果我哋困咗自己喺間屋入邊着咗火嘅話，我哋如果唔聽到佛陀講唔好啊，你唔好成日喺間着咗火嘅屋入邊啊，你快啲跟我出嚟啦咁。你知道佢係喺出邊入嚟救你，咁我知道我跟佢就話我就會點樣？我可以逃出生天，即係等於。真係，如果間屋着咗火，有消防員孭住晒氧氣筒入嚟，叫你跟去，你跟唔跟啊？你梗係跟啊嘛，因為你相信啊嘛，係咪？你見到啊嘛，你知道係真噶嘛，佢會幫你噶嘛。有智若聞則能信解，但係點啊？無智而悔則為永失啊！當你冇智慧嘅時候，你就會點樣啊？生起種種嘅懷疑。生起種種嘅懷疑，生起種種嘅悔恨，你都覺得唔好啦，我唔啱嘅，或者唔係啊，算啦。又或者點樣啊？有啲人疑悔之後點樣？索性就乜都唔做添，唔好搞啦，我唔做啦咁啊點啊？則為永失，你永遠都唔會再得到噶啦。咁所以你話聞或疑咧，就係我哋眾生自己選擇嘅。你記得嘛？喺前邊講啊，有幾多啊？有5000個比丘同埋在家居士、優婆塞、優婆夷點啊？佛陀開經啦，上座講啦，佢點啊？起身禮佛之後就走啦，係咪？點解啊？無智而悔則為永失啊。Okay, so whether you hear or you doubt, he said, if the wise hear it, they will be able to believe and understand. Of course, you think, this is, I think this, it should be, I believe and understand, then I will be wise. Right? But you need, that is actually the second stage is, yes, by hearing it, because you have this wise seed inside you. And you will say, yes, I understand. When you understand, you become wiser. When you become wiser, you believe further. Okay? So when you are wise, then you will say, I understand. I believe. But when you are not wise, and you hear the Buddha's teachings, no, that is garbage. I don't think this is right. Or I don't think it fits me. I don't think it's talking about the truth. I think it's just the blind faith, or whatever, or superstitious belief. You see? That's not wise. Then they will not have a chance to believe and understand. Right? So, but the unwise will have doubts and worries. That's what the unwise will have. They have doubts, they will have worries. And then perpetually they will miss the point and they will lose it forever. And it's just an analogy is if the house is on fire, if you're inside a burning house, if you see a fireman coming in with a tank of oxygen and have a face mask and wanted to give you the face mask, you said, no, I'm not going to follow you. You're not going to lead me out of this burning house. Because you have doubts, you have worries, and you don't believe because you're not wise. Then the chance of you leaving the burning house is forever lost. But if you're wise, say, okay, I see this mask. Okay, let me try this. Because you're so wise, you think, okay, I'll take whatever this is offered to me. I'll try it first. Then after trying, then I will believe. Then you put the mask on, and you take a breath, you go, oh, I feel much better. I'm not suffocated. Then you follow the fireman, you leave the burning house. Then you will believe continuously, you will believe. So that's what it meant in here. So that's the Buddha actually wanted to tell us, we are able to sit here and listen to this because we have some wisdom. But don't be arrogant. Oh, I have so much wisdom. That's why I'm here. So that's why I can hear the Buddha's teachings. 佛陀所以話俾我哋聽啊，實在呢兩個説就佛陀就話俾我哋聽，實在我哋都係有智慧嘅。如果我哋冇智慧嘅，我哋根本唔會信佛嘅。所以但係你有冇話，哎呀幾好啊？佛陀讚緊我有智慧啊！唔好生呢個大驕慢心啊。OK 啊 ，so after the Buddha said, but I will only teach according to their strength。佛陀話：我只會隨力為佢哋點樣啊？隨力為佢哋而説啊！teach according to the strength。Sorry 。Okay， so therefore Kassapa, I teach them according to their strengths with various explanations so that they will gain right views. So the Buddha know how much strength one sentient being will have, and he teach according to the conditions, according to the situations, according to the strength that he see in that sentient being. For what? So that they will develop right view, the right view of seeing the Four Noble Truths, the dependent originations, the dukkha, and how are we going to come out of that. Okay, that is right view. So he will teach according to the strength of the sentient beings that he encountered. 喺呢度咧，佛陀就話：我會隨力為眾生而説。呢個力咧就係話我哋眾生嘅力，我哋有幾多力，即係我哋有幾多力要聽佢講咧咁。隨力為説啊，即係隨對方有幾多力接受，我就説，我就講幾多。以種種緣令得正見，喺種種因條件許可之下，我希望佢哋得到一個正知正見。因為正知正見，正見即係乜嘢啊？知道呢個世間無常，知道世間係因緣而生，因緣而滅。如果我哋唔可以接受呢個世間係因緣而生、因緣而滅嘅話，我哋就為自己帶來種種苦。而我哋都明白，原來種種苦都係空無可想嘅。咁就如果我哋能夠生到呢個正見嘅話，始終有一日我哋能夠可以點樣離苦得樂啦。係如果我哋生唔到呢個正見，我哋走入邪見嘅話，我哋就唔可能做到呢樣嘢啦。所以佛陀啦話：我係以種種嘅條件而為種種嘅眾生，佢有幾多能力，我隨佢哋嘅能力為佢哋説法，隨力為説，為佢哋説法。OK， 咁呢本經個開頭就話咗俾我哋聽啊！實在我哋今時今日能夠坐喺度聽到呢部經嘅話，實在好肯定我哋喺邊一個因緣之下，我哋曾經接觸過《法華經》呢樣嘢。So looking at these last 3 slides, we should actually be very happy ourselves. Because don't know when, in one lifetime or other, we definitely have heard about the Lotus Sutra before. Otherwise, we won't be here. We won't be here. You definitely have encountered the Lotus Sutra before. Otherwise, you won't be here. People have listened to Lotus Sutra and they are gone. They disappear. That's what I mean. Okay, but you're still here listening to it 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. That's why definitely you have this seed in there. 所以 有啲人啊聽法華經啊，聽咗一陣就唔見咗啦嚇，讀法華經讀咗一陣又冇讀啦。點解啊？因為點啊？木個種子唔夠強啊。咁啊，如果你哋話1年、2年、3年，你都係咁樣喺度嘅話，你曾經有一生，我或者曾經多生多世，你都曾經接觸過呢個法華經，都唔出奇啊。如果唔係，你唔會有呢粒種子去聽。OK， 咁啊 ，so this whole chapter we start to talk about the great clouds, or it should be called the great rain. OK， so 我哋開始睇呢個藥草喻品啊。實在呢個藥草喻品咧就係講呢個雨啊，大雲啊，呢個大雨啊。呢個雨究竟有咩功德咧？ What are the merits of this great cloud or of this great rain? So in the book, in the sutra, is in page 162 in the English one. For the Chinese one is 140. For my Chinese one is 140. The beginning of the gata. 破有法王嗰個偈頌開始喺後邊嘅頁。So the merits of a great cloud, 大雲嘅功德。So this is also actually an analogy, inside an analogy, in this chapter of analogy. 實在呢個都係點樣啊？實在呢個都係譬喻嚟㗎。好啦，佢話迦葉當知譬如大雲，超於世間，遍覆一切。為雲含潤，電光晃耀啊！呢個電光晃耀咧係咩意思咧？電光晃耀咧，即係話咧佛陀啦放光點樣啊？去照耀一切眾生啊！電光晃耀啊！然後點啊？雷聲遠震，令眾如遇。雷聲遠震啊！得打雷嘅時候會點啊？砰！點樣啊？去到好遠好遠，即係代表乜嘢？呢個雷聲咧係代表呢個法啊，佛陀説嘅法啊，係可以降伏、調伏惡人嚇。OK， 佢話日光掩蔽，地上清涼啊！日光掩蔽咧，日光掩蔽乜嘢咧？掩蔽咗啲惡人外道啊！掩蔽啊，即係將佢遮住咗，將啲外道遮住咗，就唔好嚟點樣啊？唔好嚟傷害點樣啊？所有一切眾生，讓乜嘢？讓地上清涼，佢話仲有咩啊？愛弟垂布，如可承攬啊！呢個愛弟咧，即係話佢好厚咁解啊！即係話呢個雲咧好厚，即係話點啊？佛嘅功德啊，法華經嘅功德啊，法嘅功德啊，係好厚。愛弟垂布，厚到點樣啊？厚到嗰啲雲咧，好似跌到落嚟點啊？落嚟我哋人間，我哋點樣啊？好似一塊布咁樣跌到落嚟，我哋伸手點樣啊？如可承攬，我哋可以承托住佢。我哋可以攬住佢摸到佢，如可承攬啊！嗱，呢個就係一個譬喻嚟嘅，即係話點啊？話俾我哋聽，呢個法啊，嗰個功德幾大 ？OK 嚇，呢個就係講大雲嘅功德啦。So here it talks about the merits of the great clouds. It says it is like a great cloud rising over the world, covering everything everywhere. And a beneficent cloud full of moisture, lightning flashing across the sky. So lightning flashing across the sky is analogous to the teachings of the Buddha or the teachings of the Lotus Sutra. It's just like the lightning shining through, brightens up all these sentient beings, shaking them up and glaring them. Okay? And then the sound of thunder reverberating afar bring joy to all. Like thunder, just when when it's thundering, it's just boom. It travels very, very far and could be very strong, right? And it means that this thunder, the sound of thunder, actually means it can actually subdue all the unwholesome maras. The thunder actually is an analogy, metaphor, subduing all the maras, all the unwholesome people. And the sun's rays are hidden, which I really think the sun's rays are hidden. The sun's rays are hidden. It means hidden what? The hidden means it is actually blocking and destroying all the other cults, all the other paths which are not liberating, which will not lead you to liberation. And the earth becomes cool because of this cloud, right? When we have cloud this morning, it feels cooler. But when we have sun today in the afternoon, it feels much hotter, right? That's the same. So as if it might be touched or plucked from the sky. So in the Chinese, there are two words to explain, to actually to describe the thickness of the clouds is oi dai. Oi dai means very, very, very thick. The clouds are so thick, actually it descends from the sky all the way down to this human world. So thick that we can actually touch it or we can pluck it. So that actually tells you the merits of this great cloud. It can subdue, it can block, and it can what? It can actually you can pluck it, you can touch it, it can actually hold you, it can cool you off. Okay, so what does this cloud do? What does this cloud do? It rains, right? So the cloud actually moistens 所潤之物。佢所潤之物啊，有幾多嘢所潤之物啊？佢呢度其中咧就講咗一啲譬喻啦。佢話：其餘普等四方區下，流樹無量，率土充洽，山川險谷，幽水所生，偉木藥草，大小諸樹，百谷苗架，甘蔗葡萄，汝之所潤，無不豐足。乾地普洽，藥木並茂。實在所有喺土地上面種嘅所有嘢，其餘普等，普即係話普遍，等即係話平均，冇分別心咁解。你唔係平均，係冇分別心。咁你話點會平均咧？有啲叫驟雨嗰啲就係一笪地方先落嘅啫，係叫做平均，唔係平等，平等。四方區下就係四方八面咁區落嚟，流樹無量嚇。咁呢個就係話佢所潤之物，佢能夠潤濕嘅嘢咧，但係所有包括點樣？包括山河，無論你係危險嘅谷，又或者唔危險嘅，或者黑嘅，或者暗嘅，或者花草，或者藥草，但係大嘅細嘅。百谷苗架，無論你種乜嘢，種稻米又好，種甘蔗、種葡萄都好，點啊？雨之所潤，無不豐足啊！當啲雨能夠潤濕佢嘅時候，佢就會點樣啊？係咁生，係咁生，係咁生。好似我哋個農莊咁啦。上個禮拜熱咗一個禮拜，我哋嗰個田就好多收成啦。咁呢兩日又係咁熱咧，咁下個禮拜又會好多收成啦。連乾嘅地點啊，連乾嘅地都可以潤濕啦。所以咧就呢段咧就話俾我哋聽，呢個大雲啊，呢個大雲啊，呢個大雨啊，能夠點樣啊？可以潤百物啊，潤萬物啊，包括實在包括人啊。如果我哋冇雨落，你諗下喺非洲冇雨落幾乾呢啲人係咪 ？Okay, so the cloud actually moistens what? It's actually very, very long, so I didn't actually type it out. So it's page 162 to 163. So it's actually covered the whole 2 pages. So it said the rain falls everywhere, reaching over the face of the earth, coming down on all sides, reaching over the face of the earth, and into the hidden recesses of mountains, streams, and steep valleys. And plants and trees grow, big trees and small trees, 100 grains, rice seedlings, sugar cane, and grapevines. All are moistened by the rain and abundantly enriched. The dry ground is soaked, and both herbs and trees flourish. So, and it said, though their bodies, forms, and capacities may be small or large, the moisture they receive is the same, enabling each to flourish. So this is all the inanimate things that can be moistened by this great cloud or the great rain, whether it's trees or shrubs, flowers or grass, grains or vegetables, or even human beings or animals. If us human beings do not have rain, look what will happen. Our skin will all crack, our body will all dry up. Our body is made up of 90+% of water. If there is no rain, no water, how are we going to sustain this human life? So the cloud actually moistens everything in this universe. Okay? So how does this cloud moistens? And does it have any discrimination or preference? So in here we actually see it doesn't. 實在呢個雲啊，佢當佢落嚟嘅時候，雨落嚟嘅時候啊，佢會唔會有分別心啊？佢冇分別心。佢一時等樹啊，其澤普恰啊，即係頭先講嗰幾句就係。At the same time, rain pours down equally to nourish everything, nourish the 3 types of grass or medicinal herbs and 2 types of trees. 呢個一時等樹啊，佢話喺佢落嚟嘅時候啊，落雨嘅時候啊，點啊？其澤普恰啊！佢能夠擲潤晒所有喺世間上邊一切嘅嘢，包括咩啊？三草二木。呢個三草二木就係一個譬喻啦。So these 3 types of medicinal herbs and 2 types of trees is the metaphor. Okay, so this is on page 159 if you want to read. That when you go back home, okay? So 草、葦木、叢林及諸藥草啊，3種藥草啊嚇，有3種藥草，有小根、小徑、小枝、小葉嘅嚇，無論係根啦、徑啦，即係嗰個框啦，無論係樹枝啦，抑或係個葉都係細嘅。咁有中根、中徑、中枝、中葉嘅，無論係根啦、框啦、枝啦或者葉都係中挺嘅啫，中等嘅 size， 又或者係大根、大徑、大枝、大葉嘅。咁實在呢3個係一個譬喻嚟嘅。小根、小徑、小枝、小葉咧係譬喻乜嘢咧？譬喻一個人天成。譬如人天成。譬如人天成，咩叫譬如人天成咧？即係話我只係想點啊？我只係想生做人天嘅啫。咁啊，你咪小根、小徑、小枝、小葉咯。嗰啲雨落嚟嘅就係接觸到呢啲小根、小徑、小枝、小葉，就係即係話你修行嘅方法只係修5戒10善。OK。就5戒10善。好啦，中根、中徑、中枝、中葉咧，咁中挺啦，又唔係特別大，又唔係特別細，係代表乜嘢？代表二乘人。二乘人即係聲聞緣覺啦。聲聞緣覺啦。咁大家都知道啦，聲聞咧就係聽到咩啊？聽到發音，聽到發音， 呢個發音就係講乜嘢咧？就係講四聖諦。聽到發音之後，佢能夠依呢個音，依聽到呢個發音而去明白佛陀講嘅話，佢得到呢個聲聞乘，行呢個聲聞乘呢條道往聲聞乘呢個果。好啦，又或者係緣覺，緣覺咧就係聽十二因緣。佢哋睇到佢唔係聽十二因緣，係睇到十二因緣，睇到呢個條件，譬如話風動抑或幡動咧，究竟又唔係風動又唔係幡動，而係因緣所出現而先有風動有幡動啫。咁所以佢係睇到呢個因緣法而明白，而佢睇到因為呢個因緣法之下咧，佢修呢個喺呢個修呢個聲聞緣覺乘。咁喺呢個緣覺乘入邊咧，行緣覺乘呢條道修呢個乘行呢個道就得緣覺嘅果。咁就係呢個係二乘啦，呢個二乘啦。咁咩叫大根大氣、大根大勁、大智大業咧？就係菩薩乘啦。菩薩乘就係希望點啊？我不為自己求安樂，但願眾生得離苦。我又唔修人天乘，我又唔修聲聞緣覺智了漢乘。我希望點樣啊？我希望捨身成人嘅，呢個修菩薩乘。So 呢個咧就係三種藥草嘅比喻啦。呢個已經係開始個比喻啦嚇。小根就係人天，小根小徑咧就係二乘，大根大徑就係菩薩乘。Okay, so the three types of medicinal grass, what does it analogous to? So that is the metaphor. The little roots, the stems, the branches, and the leaves are all small, very little, very, very little. And then there are some with medium-sized roots and stems and branches and leaves. So it's not very, very small, medium-sized. And then there are the big ones. The big roots and stems, branches, and leaves. Whether it's roots or whether it's stems, whether it's branches or whether it's leaves, they're big. So what does it mean by these three? What does it imply, or what does it represent? What kind of example is it? So the little roots, the stems, and the branches, and the leaves, it means this, the human diva realm. I wanted to reborn in a human diva realm. So Purusayana or Divayana. So these are the two vehicles that one can practice. So what does it mean by that? It's by taking the 5 precepts, abiding by the 10 wholesome deeds. So then you will be definitely or quite sure that you'll be reborn as a human, or as if your 10 wholesome deeds are really excel, then you probably will be reborn as in the diva. So that's the first vehicle, Yan Tin Sing, the human diva vehicle. And then the second, the medium-sized one, represents what? It represents the Sharaka Yana or Prayika Buddha Yana, the Hira, or this Prayika Buddha Yana. So these, the Hira, they hear about the Four Noble Truths, and they understand because the Four Noble Truths, that is so much dukkha, and they keep on walking on this path, practicing, and then they will eventually attain this Sharaka fruits. But for the Prajika Buddha Yana, they hear, or they don't hear, because at that time there is nobody teaching the Dhamma. When they're Prajika Buddha, they actually don't hear anything, but they see it. They see what? They see dependent origination. And in the very famous story in the Chinese Chen is it the wind that is moving, or is the flag that is moving? You have heard of that before? It's neither is the wind moving nor the flag moving. It's all conditions, right? So it's really the wind makes the flag moves. the wind makes the flag flaps, right? But without the wind, would the flag flap too? It may. But without the wind, it won't flap. It may not. Or with the wind, would it not flap? It definitely will flap, right? So really, is it the wind that is flapping, or it is the flag that is flapping? It's the conditions, right? It's the conditions of having a wind there, and there's a flag there, and it's all come together, then the flag start to flap. So the Pratyeka Buddha actually saw the dependent origination himself, and because of this, he practiced accordingly, and he actually attained that. So this is the lesser vehicles, remember, the lesser vehicles. And then the last vehicle was the Bodhisattva Yana. Bodhisattva Yana is the Bodhisattva vow that they don't want to attain their Buddhahood because they want to what? They want to help. They want to help to liberate suffering beings, like the Buddha, like the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, right? So he didn't want to attain Buddhahood because he wanted to really liberate beings from the hell's realm. So these three types of medicinal grass are actually being nourished by the same cloud. Whether they are little, whether they are medium-sized, whether they are big. The rain makes no discrimination when it pours down. 所以呢三草啊，無論嗰個雨啊，從四方落嚟，呢個三草啊都會得到點樣同樣滋潤。而佢得唔到同樣滋潤嘅話，係因為佢自己嘅因緣，可能佢點樣匿埋咗喺個石入邊，佢咪得唔到咁多咯，係咪啊？係佢自己嘅因緣就會，但係嗰個雨嗰個雲係唔會有呢個分別心嘅，即係話佛陀係根本冇呢個分別心㗎。只係點樣啊？佢只係行一個方便法，希望點樣啊？引我哋去行一個大乘道啊。So actually tells us an analogy is the Buddha did not have any discrimination about the small vehicle, the lesser vehicles, or the human realm vehicle, or the Bodhisattva vehicle. He did not have any discrimination. He did not judge nothing. He's just like this a great cloud, great rain. It pours down equally. And if the grass cannot be moistened and nourished by it because the grass has its own conditions. Maybe because it's hidden inside a crack of the rock and never get moistened by the rain. Okay, so what are the two woods then? What are the two trees? 咁嗰兩個木係乜嘢啊？就係小樹同埋大樹啦。咁呢個小樹係講乜嘢啊？小樹就係講中根嘅，佢唔講下根添啦。小樹講中根，實在呢個中根咧，你都可以講啊。呢個中根咧，實在已經係好高深㗎啦。中根咧就係七地菩薩以前咧就係小樹七地菩薩啦。七地菩薩你知唔知我哋菩薩行有十地啊，十地菩薩啊嘛。咁啊要去到七地菩薩喎，七地菩薩以前即係1、2、3、5、4、5、6嘅六地菩薩都係小樹，七地菩薩都係小樹。咁咧即係我哋係唔係樹啦？我哋冇樹。咁啊，大樹係咩咧？大樹就係八地菩薩以上就為之大樹。咁就係呢個就係點啊？中根即係話真係好醒目噶啦，咁啊七地菩薩。上根就係大根大氣，所以我哋就係我哋冇根冇氣嚇，我哋都唔知係咪小根小氣，小根小氣已經好叻啦。所以唔好小氣啦嚇，係小根啊。咁但係實在呢個大樹啊，就係 話上根啊，中上根嘅人咧能夠點樣啊？能夠接受到大乘佛法。下根嘅人咧就係點樣啊？係只可以接受，你可以講係小乘嘅法。但係佢要咁講，我自己覺得有啲我覺得有啲我覺得麻麻地妥啦。我覺得就係個發心嘅問題。當你發心如果唔係行菩薩行嘅話咧，你無論你係小樹一係大樹咧，你都係會變成小樹嘅啦。如果你話我係本身係個根器唔係好好，但係我要發菩薩行嘅，咁我覺得始終你會有一日咧都會修為到大樹咯，始終會有一生啊，唔係呢一生啦，可能嚇。咁但係即係要花好多時間。當然啦，即係小根小樹咧，要花好多時間先可以去到成為大樹嚇。因為去到八地菩薩嘛。所以佛陀講嘅佢講過一味啊嚇，佢話佢係隨上中下各有所受，一云所遇，稱其種性而得生長。花果膚實雖一地所生，一遇所潤而諸草木若各有差別啊！就頭先都係講咧，呢個雲所落嚟嘅雨咧，就係點樣啊？睇佢呢個種性，即係睇佢自己本身呢個草啊，呢個草木啊，佢有幾多個根器，咁佢先至點樣啊？佢可唔可以長出花、長出果？雖然大家都喺同一個地，雖然大家都係受住一個雨。又係同一種雨，但係因為每一個草木佢有佢唔同嘅根器，亦都可以講唔同嘅葉啊，所以就好等於我哋咁啫嘛。嗱，我哋雖然話我哋選擇咗今年呢笪地要嚟種粟米啊，我哋呢笪地要嚟種前嗰排收嘅咩大白菜，但係點啊？大白菜好多蟲，粟米未有蟲，都係嗰啲雨都係嗰個太陽曬，都係喺嗰笪地嘅，喺一個大笪地嗰度。咁所以就話呢個究竟我哋變係小樹大樹咧，亦都係睇咩啊？我哋個根器啊，我哋個種性即係話我哋心入邊嗰種種子啊，有幾多？有冇大乘嘅種子？咁我肯定咧，大家都係有大乘嘅種子。如果唔係，你點會坐喺度聽大乘嘅經咧？咁嚇。所以呢個就係講二目就係講小樹同大樹啦。So the two types of trees 啊。大家記住啦，有十地菩薩啦，由歡喜地啦到法雲地係總共係10地啊。大家如果你讀經讀得多咧，你都會聽過歡喜地、離垢地、發光地、嚴慧地呢啲啦嚇。呢個就係10地菩薩。咁第8地以前就係7地以前嗰啲就叫小樹，8地以後嗰啲咧就叫做大樹。So the two types of trees is page 160. So it's called that the small tree, we call them the middle faculties. The middle faculties is actually really not that middle. We are not even considered as the middle faculties. The middle faculties who are considered as the middle faculties are those people who are actually already born in the anything before the 7th bhumi, the first bhumi all the way to the 7th bhumi. So there are total 10 bhumis. Okay, and so the 10 bhumis, that means the 10 places of bodhisattvas. And so the 10 bhumis, before up to first bhumi up to 7 bhumis are the small trees. And the small trees have middle sharpness faculties. And then the big trees have very, very sharp faculties. Big trees have very, very sharp faculties. And those big trees are from the 8th bhumi all the way to the 10th bhumi. And the big trees, that means they have big roots, big trunks, big branches, big leaves also. And that means these are the people who have actually very sharp faculties, who vow to actually receive and take in, accept the great vehicle, the one Buddha vehicle. Of course, those people with the lesser faculties, they accept the Buddha's teachings. They will accept, maybe sometimes they will accept the greater vehicle, the one Buddha vehicle, but it will take them eons of time to actually build up that confidence, that faith in this one Buddha vehicle, or the great vehicle. Not like the big tree. The big tree, just take it like this. So that's the big difference, okay? So for those with lesser or duller faculties, they need to actually work for many eons of lifetime before they can get to the sharp faculties. They may be able to skip the middle faculties and go into the sharp. They may be able to. They don't necessarily need to go from first bhumi to seventh bhumi. They can skip, okay? In here it says every tree, large or small, according to whether it is superior or inferior, receives its share. The rain from the same cloud goes to each according to its nature and its kind, causing it to grow, bloom, and bear fruits. Though all grow in the same soil and are moistened by the same rain, these plants and trees are all different. Why would they be different? In what are they different? It's in their nature. What is the nature? It's the karma. It's the karma. So remember, there are 10 bhumis, and we don't have to actually go into those 10 bhumis. But this is actually an analogy talking about the small trees and the big trees, whether we are little tree or small trees or big trees, they are all moistened by the same rain. The rain doesn't judge. The rain doesn't discriminate. The rain pours down on the same place, moisten everything that it actually reaches. And it doesn't have any bias here. It says, no bias. 無異無別啊！佢話佛平等樹如一味如，隨眾生性所受不同，如彼草木所品各異啊！就等於點樣啊？就係等於一味乳呢個乳只係有一種味道嘅啫，佢有一種特性嘅啫，就係濕性。乳就係濕。隨眾生性所受不同，因為眾生嘅種性不一樣，所以點樣啊？所以佢接受嘅就會唔一樣，即係頭先我講嘅。So the Buddha's these teachings is a metaphor saying that the Buddha's teachings have no bias. It is an unbiased teaching, and this is just like one rain and one cloud with one flavor. And no vanilla, no mocha, no chocolate. It's just one flavor, the flavor of rain. And the flavor and the nature of rain is it moistens, it's wet. So according to the capacity of all the beings, of all the grasses, of all the herbs, of all the trees, according to the capacity, living beings receive it differently, just as the plants and trees are all different from one another. So the rain doesn't bias. It won't say, okay, I like this grass better, I like this peonies, I give it more water. And I don't like this cactus, so I don't rain. No. It's because of the karma, of the nature of the beings. 所以佛陀嘅法語唔會因為佢係咩 cactus 係咩仙人掌啊，我就唔落雨俾你你係咩啊牡丹花，你幾咁靚，我落多啲水俾你，等你靚啲啊，唔會咁樣嘅。 佢又冇味道，一種味嘅啫，唔會話又有雲呢拿味，又唔會有朱古力味，又唔會有橙味，冇嘅，一味就係濕性。嗰個濕性就係點樣啊？成佛之道。So that's moisten, that flavor. What is that flavor? Buddhahood, the path to Buddhahood. Okay. So it says here, 呢度話佢佛陀教法如一味，如諸佛之法係常以一味，令諸世間普得具足，漸次修行皆得道果啊！如果我哋跟住佛陀嘅教法啊，就好似呢啲水落喺所有人入邊，嗰啲人唔會佛陀話唔會因為聲聞我對你講多啲，你因為做農夫㗎，我唔同你講咁多。佛法係普遍通用所有，適合所有人，唔係針對某一個社會嘅階層，唔係針對某一個國家，或者唔係針對某一個已經成道或者正道嘅人，佢係針對所有嘅眾生佢嘅根器。當然我哋身為眾生，我哋冇辦法睇到眾生有啲咩根器，但係佛陀睇到眾生有咩根器，所以對乜啲眾生講個乜嘢法。因為佛陀有咁嘅能力，所以佢嗰個叫做一味語，亦都可以講話佛以一音説法眾生隨類得解脫，喺維摩經入邊講嘅，就係佛陀佢可以用好多種語言去講出嚟佢個講法，但係如果你係聽中文嘅，你只係聽到中文；你係聽英文嘅，你只係聽到佢講英文；你聽到法文嘅，你只係聽到佢講法文。如果你聽到三種語言嘅，你就可能聽到佛陀講三種語言。就係乜嘢？就係因為我哋每一個人入邊個心識所收嘅種子係唔一樣啊。但係當我哋漸次修行，就會皆得道果。當我哋俾心機，慢慢一步一步咁行嘅時候，我哋一定會點樣啊？係會修成正果。OK， OK。So the Buddha's teachings is only one flavored rain, and what is the flavor? Is the moisten, and this is the one path, the Buddha path. So the Dharma of all the Buddhas, always of the same flavor, causes all the worlds everywhere to gain what they need. Practicing it step by step, all can gain the fruit of the way. It is definitely, you will. That's what the Buddha actually promised. So the Dharma of all the Buddhas, that means the teachings of all the Buddhas, only have one flavor. The flavor is leading you out of sufferings to go to attain the Buddhahood, to gain what they need. But of course, the Buddha has this ability to see, okay, this person has this ability maybe to take the lesser vehicle, then he will teach the lesser vehicle. Okay, this person has the ability to take deeper teaching, then he will give deeper teaching to this person. And the next person, even deeper, maybe the Bodhisattva vehicle, and he will teach the Bodhisattva vehicle. So, and in one of the sutra, it says, the Buddha only speaks one sound. He only produced one sound. But different beings hear what he says. What does that mean? It means if you speak English, if your language is English, if the Buddha is speaking to you, you will hear him speaking in English. If you speak French, then you will hear the Buddha speaking in French. If you speak in Mandarin, then you will hear the Buddha speaking in Mandarin. But if you understand 3 languages, then you may hear the Buddha speaking in 3 languages. Actually, the Buddha only speaks in one sound, with one sound, the same sound. That's the sound of the Dharma. 就係發音啦，只係一種音，就係發音。So that's the Dharma, the sound of the Dharma. But the sound of Dharma, actually, different beings perceive it differently. 佛以一音説法，隨類得解脫。So they perceive it differently, they hear it differently, because the being is able to perceive it in this way or in this way or in this way. And after they hear it, and they will be able to practice and liberate themselves. All right? So the benefit of the rain to actually to moisten and nourish all these herbals or medicinal herbs and all these trees, doesn't matter whether they are big or small. It doesn't matter whether we are Chinese, whether we are Caucasian, or whether we are Buddhist, whether we are Muslim, whether we are Christian. When the rain comes, it moistens us the same. And so is the teachings of the Buddha. He doesn't judge, he doesn't discriminate. He doesn't say, I prefer to teach this one, I don't prefer to teach that one. No, he doesn't do that. Okay? So and also this one can actually represent this. There are so many different techniques, so many different skillful means that the Buddha used to help sentient beings to liberate themselves from their own defilements, to attract them to eventually practice this great vehicle. 所以佛陀就希望佢用佢嘅善巧方便用個糖衣善巧方便，讓我哋點樣讓我哋能夠行入嚟呢度佛門先，行入嚟呢個佛道先，然後點樣希望將來日久之後，我哋可以發大成心Okay, so 覺得誠實如是迦葉佛所說法，譬如大雲以一微雨潤於人花，覺得誠實。迦葉當知以諸因緣種種譬喻，開示佛道，是我方便，諸佛亦然今為汝等說最實事，諸聲聞眾皆非滅道，汝等所行是菩薩道，漸漸修學，適當成佛呢個實在呢就係可以講係一個總結總結呢個第五品第五品呢個藥草品就話俾我哋聽佛陀呢就話俾我哋聽，聲聞緣覺唔係最終嘅目標唔好喺呢個聲聞緣覺嗰度就點樣諸聲聞眾皆非滅道我哋得到聲聞果啦，我哋話我哋到咗啦，我哋唔使再去啦。汝等所行是菩薩道你要點樣發大心行菩薩行，漸漸修學，適當成佛佢話今為汝等說最實語，我而家講俾你聽係最真實嘅，佛陀係唔打妄語嘅。但我種種譬喻開示佛道，我為你哋作種種嘅方便，為你哋俾種種嘅糖衣俾你哋所有過去一切佛都係咁做佢話迦葉你哋應該要知道我所講嘅就係好似呢個大雲一樣只係有一種味道希望點希望大家能夠借住呢個一語普潤佛陀能夠借住呢個一語普潤希讓眾生聽到我講嘅唔係聲聞緣覺乘我講嘅亦都唔係菩薩乘，我講嘅係佛乘呢條道係一語一味所以希望大家聽完呢個故事咧就明白雖然我聽到嘅而家可能好似叫你修五戒十善，好似叫你只係修人天福報，但係希望就係大家入咗嚟修人天福報之後點樣發大心行菩薩道，希望點漸漸修學，適當成佛唔好話我而家喺人天日日，我而家喺呢個人間我有名有利有安穩飯食，我乜都唔使憂，我算啦，我就係咁啦。然後我發願生生世世都做人喺人間過安穩嘅生活咁你永遠只係會聽到人天嘅善法 如果你真係話我真係好想得解到，我真係好想得解脫嘅喎，我想真係喺修菩薩道，你就會聽到菩薩法。如果我真係好想得解脫嘅，我真係想去到無上正等正覺嘅，咁你就會點樣？我會聽到佛道修佛道嘅法。所以咧，佛陀咧就係利用呢個咩啊？利用呢個三草二木嚟形容我哋眾生嘅根器。眾生嘅根器嚇，我哋有小中大草，有小樹有大樹，但係千祈唔好以為我係小枝小葉就我唔係氣候嚟㗎，我算啦，我小枝小葉我係咁蠢㗎啦，我唔做啦，我唔發奮啦，我唔圖強啦，我唔發大菩薩心啦，我唔修佛道啦咁，唔好啊，唔好滿足於小枝小葉啊！要點啊？要發大心啊！要喺小枝小葉入邊得到嘅利益點樣啊？成咗你打好你成佛嘅基礎。喺小枝小葉入邊修十善，再修多啲點啊資糧。希望讓我哋好似《法華經》咁講，讓我哋可以走在成佛之道上邊啊！但係如果我哋話我發大乘心我修大乘佛法尤其是我哋出家嘅以大乘佛法去出家，我哋就唔好以為我好威水我學大乘你哋修小乘嘅，我叻過晒你哋咁咧呢個就唔得啦。所以呢個《法華經》實在《法華經》呢個7個譬喻咧，亦都係點樣亦都係教我哋點樣降服我哋其中一種嘅我慢心咁呢個《法華經》咧，實在呢個藥草品咧，亦都係點樣希望我哋降服我哋呢個增上慢心。呢個增上慢心就係讓我哋咧唔好睇小人哋小枝小葉、中根中氣嗰啲如果我哋話我哋真係修菩薩行啦，學大乘佛法修菩薩行，我哋唔好睇小別人讓我哋降服呢個增上慢心，你覺得誠實Okay, so in here is page 168 is very long. Also, this actually in this way is a Kashyapa, the Dharma preached by the Buddha. Sorry, there is a wrong spelling there. It's just like the great clouds rain of one flavor, which enriches human flowers so that each will bear fruits. And it's all the way actually. All the way to the end, and each will bear fruits. And what I teach you and the others now is the utmost truth, and it's not wrong. It's not false. What you are practicing is the Bodhisattva way. As you gradually practice and learn, every one of you should become a Buddha. So in here, the Buddha already foretell that. Any beings who actually walk on the path of a Bodhisattva, step by step, you will eventually become a Buddha. And this line actually summarizes this whole chapter. The Buddha strongly emphasized that the Sravaka and the Pratyeka Buddha is really not the ultimate goal. And it's actually says here. The Dharma preached by the Buddha, various kind. Yes. He said, this is my method of skillful means. All Buddhas do the same. What I teach you and the others now is the utmost truth. None has attained extinction as a Sravaka. A Sravaka will not attain the extinction and will not attain the Buddhahood. Okay, that is the ultimate goal. So the Buddha said, do not just be satisfied with that attainment, because there is further. There is 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps further. That is the attainment of Sammasambuddha. So now that you are practicing the Bodhisattva path, one day you will become a Buddha. So the Buddha in this whole chapter, actually he uses this 1 big cloud, 1 rain, and the 3 medicinal herbs, and the 2 trees to actually tell us, to show us, he has only teach one path. That is the one Buddha path. And all the other paths, the lesser paths, or the Diva's human path, the yana of human or Diva, all these paths are skillful means to what? To attract all beings to come into the path. And hopefully when they build up all these merits and these virtues, and one day they will become from a small medicinal herb, they will become a big tree. From a small or nothing tree to become a big tree. So, so remember what's the volition of the Buddha, and so don't ever think that we are nobody and we will never be able to attain this Buddhahood. The Buddha said, you will be able to attain. Every one of you should become a Buddha as you gradually practice and learn. So he has already endorsed us, or foretell us, reassure us that we will one day become a Buddha. But whether we practice it ourselves, we walk the path ourselves, or we are very satisfied with whatever we have right now, I'm not going to further practice. It's too difficult. We'll talk about that in the next few chapters. It's too difficult. No, I'm quite happy now. I'm quite happy now. I don't want to go further on. So and also the 7 parables actually are 7 ways to actually subdue or calm the 7 types of arrogance. And this parable, of course, is also helping us to actually subdue the arrogance that we actually look down upon the lesser vehicles, those lesser vehicles. If we are walking, practicing the one Buddha vehicle, or the Bodhisattva vehicle, we say, oh, you are practicing the lesser vehicle, you're really nothing when compared to us. That is a kind of arrogance. So this is also this actually help us to subdue our arrogance of thinking that we are higher up than you, we are better than you. No, we are not. Okay? Sorry, overrun. Always. 唔好意思，過時，根本冇可能講得到 ，it's impossible. Okay, I was. Do you understand? 你哋明唔明啊？明啦嚇。You understand? OK， 你哋明啊嚇？網上面嗰啲朋友明我講咩嚇？啊，三草二木啊嚇，明呢個故事嘛？明唔明啊？明明地啦嗬，明我再翻去聽啊嚇。OK，good，OK，good，好。今日好似講咗8個鐘頭嘢啊！I seem to have talk for 8 hours today, from 10 to 6:30. Okay, 我哋回向啦，好嘛？好。Okay, so we dedicate our merits. 記住啦，回向偈啊，喺法華經度出嚟啊。So remember this, the dedication of merits, the gatha actually come from the Lotus Sutra. 願以此功德普及於一切我等與眾生，皆共成佛道。May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the living beings together will attain the Buddha way. It's page 193 in the English book. Okay. Next slide, please. Beautiful moonlight last week. Okay, see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have homework for you to do. 有功課俾你做。 咁嗱，你哋我當你舊年冇聽啦，我唔問舊年㗎啦，OK。咁咧喺最尾嗰日啦，星期六嘅，我哋應該有分享㗎嘛，
有嘅上晝。
朝頭早係啦。咁咧，我想你哋咧記一下啦，記一下你哋呢幾日聽嘅5語啦，有5個譬喻啦。你覺得有邊個譬喻對你嚟講係好深刻啦？如果你識得7個譬喻，聽晒7個故事咁啊最好啦。你可以做一個好簡短嘅，或者邊度觸動到你啊，1-2分鐘，唔好講得太長，1-2分鐘大家嚟分享一下。因為我冇得現場見到你哋，或者喺網上見到你哋，所以我唔想淨係得我講，我都好想你哋講啊。所以你哋做啲功課好冇？So I am going to give you homework. So if you haven't listened to the last year's 2 parables, that's okay. I'll excuse you. But this year, if you come for no matter how many lectures you're going to attend, at the end of this week on Saturday morning, we will have a time to share about your feelings, about about the inspirations you get from reading this Lotus Sutra or from listening to this Dharma talk of the 5 parables. And I want you to share with us. Don't be so stingy, okay? And don't be shy. Nobody will look at you because you're all on TV. So I want you to share 1 or 2 minutes about which parable actually inspired you most and how does it inspire you. So if more of you can share, and that would be wonderful. And don't just let me talk. It's really very tiring, just me talking all the time and looking at all these little squares. Okay? And some of you don't even put on your face, and I don't even see your face. So it's actually very boring to look at all these little squares. So I want some feedback. 所以我覺得好悶嘅，望到啲格格咧，尤其是咧有啲格格咧，佢都唔開個樣俾我睇，我都唔知佢何方神聖咧。咁所以我就好想你哋有同我有啲互動啊，好唔好啊 ？OK 但係聽晚咧我哋就係要夜晚黑㗎嗬。係。聽晚夜晚黑幾點鐘？6點係咪？6點15分啊？係因為佢哋返工嗬。係。OK， 聽日係6點15分至到9點15分啊。
9點半啦。
你哋喺屋企唔緊要啦。Tomorrow it will start at 6:15 because some of them work, so we give them time to get home, and it probably ends at 9:15 or 9:30. Since you're home listening to watching TV, it's really give me a little bit more time so that I don't have to rush. So I can share more stories. OK， 好唔好啊？OK， 好嘛？OK. Okay, so thank you for all of you actually to really come on to this Lotus Sutra reading and discourse, and also thank you for all the volunteers to set up this place and cook lunch at home and bring lunch here and heat up for us and everybody. And thank you for your presence too, okay, for your attendance. 好啦，我哋好多謝各位喺屋企煮定飯、整定甜品俾我哋嘅居士朋友，有負責送菜個朋友，有負責煮翻熱啲餸同煮飯俾我哋食嘅朋友，有負責啲義工下，就負責整好呢個台set 好呢個佛堂嘅所有嘅居士，感恩你哋大家出席，亦都好高興你哋今日一齊嚟同我哋參加呢個大吉祥法會呢個法花會上希望大家都發心修菩薩行將來成佛道I wish all of you will vow to become a Bodhisattva and step by step will become a Buddha. All the best and good night.
Good night. Thank you.